Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Modern Skyblock 3 with Haliee, and I am back. I am back home after an amazing weekend. I just can't even express how much fun this weekend was. There will be a vlog going up here soon once I get my editing skills up to date about the Minefaire that I was at in DC. It was so much fun. If you guys ever get an opportunity to go to Minefaire, not just to meet YouTubers or anything, but it is just absolutely amazing. There's so much stuff to do for your kids and everything. But yeah, keep an eye out. There'll be a vlog coming up here shortly. Probably in a day or two. Like I said, I got to work on my editing skills to see what I can actually put up. There's some short videos right now. So if you want to hop up my channel, you can see or follow my Twitter feed. You'll see a lot of pictures, a lot of little short videos of what was going on. But yeah, anyway, so we're going to jump in here. There's a couple things I need to note. First of all, you may note there's a little programming change here. This episode is actually coming out on Wednesday. So I'm doing a little change to the lineup of my schedule here. I'm actually cutting back to 2 days a week for this series. Actually, most of my series will be 2 days a week. That's because I've got so much stuff that I actually want to do. Just coming from Minefaire, it's going to be so exciting. A lot of new things coming to the channel, so keep an eye out for that. But this is going to be now a 2-week series, two episodes a week series instead of 3, and that actually gives me more time to learn because we're getting into more complex items in this side mod, and it's going to take me some time to get through it. But I have learned some things thanks to you guys' comments. First of all, Linda, thank you so much. You are awesome and amazing. Yes, it was a little bit of confusing because I don't speak programming, but Linda left an awesome comment, guys. If you want to go back and look at the last episode comment about how some of this stuff works. And also I did a little bit of research. So I'm going to show you what I have learned about this mod right now. So let's jump in. So is very complex. As you guys know, we're like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I've only done like 4 spells or 3 spells, but there are some little things that actually help. So I want to go through some things that I've learned. First off, if you have a chance of watching mod spotlights, of course, the Direwolf does great mod spotlights. It really, a lot of things have changed between the ones that are probably on the internet versus now, because we are in a 112 pack, I think. 112, maybe, sure. So, of course, a lot of things have changed. One of the things we noted that changed was the thing called bullets. But now we have, what are they called? These fancy little things here. They're called nodes now. So, but there's a lot of name changes, but the basic concept is still the same. So I'm going to go through that right now. So, first of all, you hit C. Make sure you don't have your rod in your chance when you hit C, because if you have your rod in your chance to hit C, all your little notches are going to show here, because you can have up to, with the rod that we have right now, we can have those 4 different spells in here. But if you have anything else in your hand, like the pickaxe, and you hit C, it's going to open up the side tutorial. Now, one thing I also wanted to learn was, I was like, well, those tutorials that I learned before, what if I want to go back and read them? It does not delete them. Thank goodness, because I had to go back and read some stuff. If you scroll way down to the bottom, all the tutorials that you've already completed are down here, and you're still able to read through and kind of remember what you did to get to where you are now. So that was totally amazing. The second thing I learned, if you already have a spell here, which I've already deleted here, I was going in and deleting each spell by clicking on it. If you do Control-Shift-Delete, it deletes the entire table. So I'll do an example of that here a little bit later. So that was great. Another thing that, I learned back in the tutorials here is you notice that each one of these new spells that it kind of shows you, there was one kind of highlighted here in red. That's the spell you actually have to use in order to level up. So in the first tutorial, we had to use a Trickety Bug. Of course, it gives you other spells. You don't necessarily have to use those to level up, but you have to use the one that's highlighted in red in order to level up. Of course, in the first one, you have to use Caster because you need a target on it. The second one, of course, it gives you a constant, so you have to have a spell. The one that's highlighted in red is one you have to use in order to level up. So each one of these has one item highlighted in red. See, this one we had 4, but there was only one highlighted in red in order for you to actually level up. So we don't have to use this Error Suppression. You technically don't have to use the vector raycast or the entity position, but you kind of need that to do the spell. But remember, the one that's highlighted in red is one you absolutely have to use, and we're going to figure out that here in a little bit to move on. So that was actually really cool to note. So let's go ahead and let's redo this one because I finally figured it out, and we're going to kind of walk through it. So one of the things that the easiest thing I actually learned is we're going to start with the one we need to level up with, because that kind of, moves through. So we need to level up with the Trick Explode. And I've already done it, but, I'm going to show you. I tried last time and I figured out some things on why it didn't work last time. So just bear with me. We're going to go through this, and I'm hoping that now that I can show you these things, guys, maybe you can do things better than I could. But we're just work through it. Just keep tinkering with it based upon these key factors that we're going to learn. We're going to see if we can get through this spell and hopefully maybe 2 more spells in this episode. All right, so first thing, if you hold shift, you'll notice that there's an arrow pointing to the left and arrows pointing to the right. The arrow that's pointing to the left, the one that says none, is what's going to be the output. So in this particular trick on this spell, now each one of these will have an in and an out arrow. Nothing's going to happen. There's not going to be an output on this spell, but it does require 2 input positions. So we have the position vector and the power number constant. Those are absolutely mandatory. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to actually use Linda's example that she talked about what vector is and position. So basically we're going to be the starting position. So the caster, or in this case, we want to make sure we have an operator entity position, is where you are. So we're going to make sure we're going to have a position. We want to start where we are. So let's go ahead and we're going to make the position over here, and we're going to choose the operator entity position, which is going to require a direction, the vector, and a target entity. So let's go ahead and let's choose a spell here, which one is the operator entity position, and we're going to have a target. The target is actually going to be us, the caster. So we have that one should be ready to go. So now this is actually going to output a vector. So it's going to go in a direction. And that direction is going to be where you are. So the entity position is where you are. And then we have another, let's see, we got a position, and then we want, make sure I'm getting this right, I'm thinking correctly. So we have a position vector, and we want this, make sure I'm thinking correctly. I just did it. There's another operator entity look. Can I have 2 targets on here? I think I can only have 1 target. Hold on. Target. Okay. I'm thinking. Well, let's go ahead and choose a power. Let's see. A parameter needs to be positive. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose a power. Remember, it gives you the grid coordinates. So we got 5 by 5. So let's go ahead and choose a power. So let's go down here, and I'm going to choose a power of, well, I'll put 4. Excuse me, 4 for right now, so you can actually see. Okay, so right now it says that this is ready to go. Everything's good. But if you notice here, these numbers on the side, I haven't really talked about because I really didn't know what they meant. And this is kind of the issue that we had. And I think Linda, she pointed it out last time, that we have complexity, which is the number of actions. So we got 3 actions that are out here, and apparently we can have up to 10 actions. And if we go back and look at our wand it actually shows that. So this is based upon the stuff that's in our wand. The potency, we can only have a potency up to 100. Right now, my potency is at 280. We're going to see what happens when I actually use that. The cost of this spell is actually 840 out of 20. And I think 1200 is the max. I'm going to check that again here. Projections, the number of tricks. We have 1 trick here. And the bandwidth is basically how wide this spell can actually be. So I pretty much I can only have up to 5. So right now, it says the spell's okay. But this potency is going to give us an error. Now, remember, we have to take our current spell, spell that's here, and actually put it on it. Now we can put up to 4 different spells in here. Remember, we talked about the vector. We looked at the focusing rod we have. I'm just holding shift, just saying everything about it. So it says the frame can have a max potency of 100. It can have a max complexity of 10, 1 projection, 4 notches. Now that notch is what we talked about earlier. Remember when I hit shift, when I had that rod on, it had a little circle, it had 4 areas. I can have up to 4 notches or 4 choices of spells, and notice that's 4 options here. So you can have up to 4 items in this particular wand. So let's go ahead and let's break this, because I know this is not going to work, but I want to show you guys what happens when it didn't work. So if I right click on that, I hear the little ding, and I'm going to put this back in here. And of course, it's telling me some information about the spell. Now, if I actually right click on it, on a target. So let's go ahead. Oh wait, let me hold C, make sure I actually have the explode option. There we go. And it's going to tell me your rod stats are too weak to cast a spell. Well, you know, I'm looking, I thought I had enough, but remember we looked over here and this only holds 280 out of 4. So let's bring this potency down a little bit. Let's choose 2. No, not 42. Let's choose 2, and you can see now it's 140 out of 100. So let's just make sure you always keep it within range of what you can actually do. So let's make sure we choose 1, and now that's 70 out of 100. Now what I have to do is put that that spell node back on here. There we go. And now put that back in here. And now let's read what the outputs are, because I know I'm missing something. We're just going to see what happens. So I want to actually put this on a target. And there, it exploded. Now, it's really not complex. You know, I actually got where I actually need it. Now, it didn't blow up anything, of course, because I think the cobblestone is too hard for that particular spell. But if I was trying to use something like, let's see, if I use dirt, well, it didn't break it. I think it turned it into that. Let me see. Let me grab some sand. Sand's usually pretty light. That might actually work. And, you know, if different blocks have different hardness. Do I have any sand? I do have one piece of sand here. Let's see what happens if I use this on some sand. And I'll fix that a little bit later. So if I actually right click this on sand, nope, still not enough. But yeah, but that's enough to get it to level up. There's other things I could have linked to it, but that's just the simple part of the spell. So it works. You know, I used a trick, and now I've leveled up to level 5. Yes, I'm at level 5 now. So let's go actually clear this out. Remember I talked earlier, if I do Control, Shift, and Delete, it clears the entire table. All right, so now we've done the trick spell. We have leveled up. So let's see what we have now. So if you scroll up, back up here, you see there's 3 options for level 5. Now, unfortunately, I'm actually going to have to do all 3 options in order to get to level 6, but we're going to start with the first one now, and we're going to go through exactly what we did before to use some things to be learned. Now, so we have to use operator closest to point. That's the one that's mandatory. We get all these other spells about selecting nearby items, selecting nearby enemies, nearby animals, all these different things. But the one we actually have to use is the operator closest to point. I'm going to hold shift on this so we can see that it's going to output an entity, and it's going to input, and it's going to require 2 inputs, a position vector and a target entity list. All right, so let's go ahead and try to use this one and see if we get lucky. All right, so let's go back over here. And just set that down right there. Don't need it. Where's my table? This table is back over here. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to choose the new. Oh wait. Did I? Okay, wait. Huh? Did it give me the new spell? Operator closest to. Oh, wait, I have to learn it. Check to learn it. Okay. Here we go. Entities are essential and are an essential component to spell inscribing. When using components like selector caster, it's possible to get the person casting the spell. The runes included here allow for targeting other entities in the world. So you can make the runes, okay, runes I guess are spells, same thing. Here to create, you can use the runes here to create spells. Oh, these runes, you can use these things are called runes. Oh my gosh, I did not realize that until just now. Okay, so you can use the runes here to create spells that affect other entities. Try using it with a trick add motion on them instead of yourself. So remember we used that earlier one where we added a motion where I made myself move. Now we're going to make an entity move. So let's go ahead and we want to use what's the new one we just got? Not the trick, what's the thing called? Operator closest to point. It's the little arrow. There we go. Operator closest to point. Okay, so it's going to require a position and a target, and it wants us to use the trick add motion. So I'm actually going to start out with the trick. So the trick add motion, this one here. Remember now, has no output, but it requires a target entity, a target direction, and a speed. Now the target entity we want actually to use is going to be a different one. So it's not going to be the caster as we have been using before. We're going to use the operator closest to point as to be the entity. So make sure I'm doing the right one. Yes. Okay. So you see there's 2 little arrows here, means there's 2 things that are required. So that's actually kind of cool when you're trying to figure out what your debug error is, that this one has 2 because there's 2 things that are actually required. So the operator closest to point is going to give us an entity, but we have to give it a position vector and a target entity list. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out the position vector is going to be closest to us. So we're always going to try to use the position is going to be the operator entity position, which is where we are. And that's going to be a target. I'm going to put it up here of the caster. Where's the caster? Where's the caster? There's the caster. Okay. So so this pretty much is set right now. So the closest to point, this one's set. The vector is going to be the caster. And now we need to set, so we've set the position. So now we need to set a target entity list. So that's going to go down here. Our target is going to be some of these new items here. We can choose nearby animals, enemies, items, living, okay, and projectile. So all these ones are like different targets you can choose from. Let's choose items because I really don't have any animals or entities around me right now. So I'm going to choose items here, and you're going to see this. We're going to require a position. So remember here, it's going to give us a list of different options around us, a position and a radius, I guess, of how far it can actually go. Now those radius will require constants, and the position is basically a vector. So we're going to choose a vector. Remember, it's a direction. So I was going to use Linda's example that she chose earlier about the idea that you are the entity position and where you're looking is the vector. So kind of like if you have a flashlight, it was her example there, which is perfect. If you're pointing your flashlight in a certain direction, as soon as it hits something, that's the vector. That's the direction it's going to hit that certain thing. So that was kind of like the explosion one. So let's go ahead and choose, we need a position vector. So we're going to choose, let's go down here, and we want the operator look. So which direction am I looking? And based upon this is going to require the caster. So you go down here, the target of this is the caster. And now let's go back up here. So we have the position. So now we need a radius. We need some kind of constant. Let's put the radius number over here and let's just choose a constant of 4. I like the number 4 for some reason. Okay, so we have that set up now. So now we need to make sure, I think we're missing one other thing here, a couple of other things here. We need a direction. So what direction do we want this item to go? So we're basing it upon the vector. So I think we want it to go to the direction of where we're looking. So let's choose here, operator entity look, and that's going to be based upon the caster. Now I could use these connectors to actually have it go all the way back here to the caster, but I'm just all about just putting it wherever I want it to go. So before you start yelling at me, you site experts, I'm just trying to make this as simple as possible. The connectors, I could connect this back over to the caster, or I can just put the caster back here. All right, so that is set. So now we need to have a speed, and the speed is going to be just a constant number. So let's give, let's give it a speed of, I like 4. So we're going to keep 4, and hopefully it's not too busy. Now it looks like everything is done. I'm looking at my numbers here. I've got 9 different actions. So 9 out of 10. We're right at the end on that one. We've got a potency of 56 out of 100. So we're good there. The cost, okay, sorry, thought I heard notice that. The cost is, I'm not sure about this cost because my wand only holds 100, but it seems to be okay because this number is less than this one. We'll find out. And I've got, right now the bandwidth is 5. The max is 5 because we're going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm right in what I actually need. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to rename this spell again. And again, I could put more spells in here to choose from, or I can just keep overriding this one with what I actually have. Okay, so let's put that in there. Now, the problem is I really don't have anything, it says items. Now, if there's items that are set, I don't think it's actually going to work. Oops, there we go. Outside of 32 block range. So there was nothing here. Did I level up? I don't think I leveled up. Did I level up? I didn't. No way I leveled up. I don't think I don't level up because I have to use all of them. But I actually need some items within the radius to actually use. So let me go ahead and grab some cobblestone. And I got this idea from a direwolf who has this wonderful tutorial on here. But this is actually just to get it to work to actually go through. So I'm actually going to just throw some loose blocks around. Let's get over here. And let's just throw these loose blocks around and see what happens. So now, hopefully, let's see. Target is outside maximum block, error position. Okay, so we have a little issue here. Let me go back and check this spell. Target is outside. Where's my target? Who's my target? Are we talking about for this add motion? The target is the operator entity look. Oh, did I put a thing on it? Okay, let's change this number. Let's change this constant down to 2. No, not 42. 2. All right, let's get that back up. 2, the number 2. I'll choose constant 2. There we go. Let's see if that makes a difference. Because again, guys, I'm still learning through this. And let's get that on there. And let's see if that makes any kind of difference here. I'm actually going to aim it towards the block. Target is outside. Spell target is outside maximum 32 blocks. Interesting. Okay, well, we're gonna keep working through this, you know, because I'm still learning, but these little tricks, it's kind of a, you know, trial and error. You just keep kind of going through it. And I'm gonna go through these next 3 tricks, hopefully to get to levels 5 and 6. And then I don't know what happens after 5 and 6, because if you look in the spell book, it kind of goes from 6 to 10. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that's actually going to work. But right now, let's go and end the episode, guys. I'm teaching you everything I've known about Psy. I'm learning as I actually go along. So hopefully I'll be able to level up through these. You know, and if you're looking for suggestions on how to learn this mod, really, Direwolf has a great tutorial. That's where I'm kind of learning through things. I don't want to just repeat what he's saying, but I'm just going to go through it just so we can get through this mod and move on within the pack. So right now, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying this episode and have enjoyed the series. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, tips, tricks, techniques, or just want to say hi, leave that comment down below, because you guys' feedback is really how I learn this stuff. And I know a lot of you have already said that you don't know anything about Psy. It is very confusing, but this is probably about as basic as I'm going to get through, just to make sure I can do these achievements in the book. Now, if you guys want to remember what we're actually trying to get through, is we have to be able to, in order to get to chickens, no, not chickens. What was it that we actually needed? We needed to get to, oh gosh, it was to be, yes, to be able to get through some of the rest of the stuff, we have to make the side gems. And that's just so far in, that's like level 10 stuff. I think even more than that within this. So we have some work we have to do to be able to get those 32 side gems. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, click that like button as well. There's a lot of new guys, you know, have shown up recently. I met you guys at Minefaire. So thank you so much for subscribing. You know, it really does mean a lot. I'm hoping that you're enjoying this. There's a lot of content on my channel already, and I hope you're just going to enjoy it. If you want a server to play on, be sure to head on to Host Havoc. Host Havoc is what the squad uses for all of our multiplayer series. We use it for all of our Patreon servers as well, so also consider that. Speaking of Patreon, click on that link down below to learn about the awesome rewards that we offer. We have 3 servers to choose from that you can play on. We have a vanilla server. We have the server we stream on the weekends for the squad pack, mod pack, Quattro, as well as the Towncraft server that we actually have a series on. Be sure to check out all of that information down below. And that's just about all I have to say, guys, for right now. Again, thank you guys, all you new subscribers out there. You are totally awesome. It just really, it means so much that you guys are actually watching my videos and subscribe to my channel. And again, always leave your feedback of what, you know, if you like something or you don't like something, or you just enjoy watching, whatever. All right, so guys, until next time, I will talk to you later. So have a great day, guys. Bye.